There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like it's climbing clear up to the sky. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way.
Yeltz, Yeltz, oh, Yeltz, Yeltz,
The atmosphere created by the shed is the heartbeat of the club. It helps the players find their extra 20-30% to dig in and fight and go on and win the games.
Yeltz, Yeltz, oh.
In the space of about 5 years, the Grove has gone from a ground with very little atmosphere, if any at all, to something that is only can be described as an absolute wall of noise for 90 minutes constantly. The players always come out and turn around and say, after each game when they're interviewed, and they turn around and say when they needed to dig in, they needed to find that little bit of something to push them over the line. They look to the shed, they hear them, and that lifts them, that raises their game 10, 20, 30%.
go, Chuck!
Yes, Halesowen Town are into the last four of the FA Trophy. Halesowen Town, from step 8 of the football pyramid, have had a hat-trick of National League knockouts, barring the latest victims, the 600 plus supporters to go on their goal.
of thousands of sports clubs to be affected by the coronavirus outbreak. They're just one game away from Wembley, but Saturday's FA Trophy semi-final has been postponed by the Football Association. And now there's a strong possibility it will never take place. Ian Winter reports.
So close and yet so far. Colin and Keith have dreamt of watching Halesowen Town in a Wembley final. In the 1980s, the club twice won the FA Vase, and now, 34 years later, their FA Trophy semi-final has been called off because of the coronavirus.
Could understand it, but heartbroken. I mean, this has been a big part of my life for 27 years, and this is my second home. Not sure miss it.
Back in October, when no one had even heard of the coronavirus, I popped in to see Halesowen preparing for an FA Cup tie. No one expected them to reach the FA Trophy semi-finals, but when they did, against all odds, tickets sold like hotcakes.
It's been incredible the last few weeks since we got through to the semi-final. Everybody's been so up for it. The tickets went within 3 or 4 days.
On Saturday, this ground would have been buzzing with around 3,500 fans, but instead, it'll be deserted because inevitably Halesowen's biggest game of the season has been called off and may now never take place. What message would you have for Halesowen Town supporters?
Just stick with us. We realise it's a hugely disappointing time for everybody involved with the club. We've brought some unity and success back to the club, and we need your support more than ever to carry on going forward.
On Saturday, the turnstiles won't turn, the cafe will be closed, and the shop will stay shut. Financially, it's a huge blow. But if the trophy never takes place, maybe the FA will split the prize money between the 4 semi-finalists, and big-hearted fans might donate their ticket refund to the club. Ian Winter, BBC Midlands Today, Halesowen.
Manager of Halesowen Town. Good afternoon, Paul.
Good afternoon, thanks for having me on.
Oh no, thank you for coming on. Just for those that are unaware, could you just tell us what's happened this week to your season?
Yeah, of course I can. If I just touch quickly on the bigger picture in the middle of this crisis, it's an awful virus that's taking many lives at the moment, and my thoughts initially go out to those that have lost loved ones and the NHS workers that are doing a fantastic job. I think it's just really important we continue to implement the government's guidelines and stay at home, and all those listeners out there that can do that, the sooner we can try and get over this situation and get back to doing the things that we love, including the football.
Indeed, yes, I'd echo that. So what has happened to your season this week?
Yeah, so this week we've been told by the FA that the season has been finished. There'll be no promotions or relegations. The records will be expunged, and we have to go again next year. So that's where we are league-wise at the moment, and that's what the FA have sent us over the last couple of days.
Now, for you at Halesowen Town, that's a body blow because you are more than in contention for a promotion.
Yeah, it's a devastating blow for everyone connected at the club. The amount of work that goes into what we do and how we do things. We unfortunately were relegated in the summer, and I came in the summer with a remit to get us promoted. So I talked a lot of players down a level to in the hope that it would only be for one season, and then get us back up to step 3, where I firmly believe we do belong. Unfortunately, this FA stance, in my opinion, has rewarded failure. Those that have come towards the bottom end of divisions have been very lucky and escaped relegation, whereas I sort of believe in rewarding success, but unfortunately those clubs that have been successful this year have been punished for that. So it's a bitter blow, and it's one that we've got to deal with.
I'll just read you out a text, Paul, that we've had come in. It's from Mankini Dave of the Yeltz Army. I don't know whether you know him. He says, as a Yeltz fan, I just want what's fair to continue the rest of the season in July or whenever is unrealistic. Either call it as it is, i.e. the current table is final, 2 up, 2 down, or the fair option of points per game ratio. Either way, I want my club to get what they fully deserve, and that is promotion. We're all behind Keith McKenna and Karen Brooks as well, and our gaffer Paul Smith, and they know it. So you've got support in there, but maybe it's an unfair question to ask you, what alternative would you like to see considered to the one that you've been presented with?
I think points per game is the fairest way forward. I really do. You know, it shows that those that have performed well over the course of the season, we're 3/4 of the way through. It's not as if it's 5 or 10 games in. We're 3/4 of the way through a season. So it's for me a points per game system, which would then straight away reward those that have been successful. Don't get me wrong, the FA have got a terribly tough job because whichever way they decided to go, there was going to people they were going to upset, whether they went points per games or whether they went for null and void. So I understand it's a difficult situation for them. These are difficult times we find ourselves in, but I just feel that those that have been successful have been punished, whereas those that have failed this year have been rewarded.
Now, again, as far as Halesowen are concerned, you're still in the FA Trophy, and that's at the semi-final stage. 2 games against Concord Rangers to decide who goes through to Wembley. That, as it stands, that's still kind of on hold. That's not been declared null and void, that competition.
No, not as yet. We still hold on to that glimmer of hope that we could still play that semi-final. For a step 4 side to have gone as deep as we have into the semi-final stage is unheard of. It's a wonderful, wonderful trip that we've all been on, and we've gone to the likes of Barney, Halifax, Maidenhead away from home and beat them. Real good powerhouses of non-league football clubs. It's a fantastic journey we're on. It's been a bitter blow to lose the league, but if we were to lose the FA Trophy run as well, that would really be a tough pill to swallow. So we've got everything crossed. The FA have urged us to keep believing. They're doing everything in their powers to try and get the semi-finals played and obviously the final. So we cling on to that, but with that also causes problems. We've got a number of players that are on contract, so we've got to try and work out whether we've still got to try and play those players, even though we've got no income coming in. Training sessions, obviously we can't get out and train at the moment, so we've got some position-specific training schedules that we've sent out to players to sort of keep themselves going, hopefully. And then we've got to try and somehow, if the games do get played, we've got to try and find some opposition for some friendlies to get us match sharp. Now, if the steps 3 to 6 have been stood down, there's not been many teams about to try and get some friendlies set up with. So there could be a number of headaches going into that FA Trophy, but don't get me wrong, we'll happily get over those headaches if we get to play that semi-final. It's the one glimmer of hope we've got left of salvaging anything out the season.
Yeah, and just finally, Paul, I mean, how are you sort of managing the team at the moment? Because everybody's got to be, very careful about what they do and where they go. So how does a footballer playing for Halesowen Town stay fit and keep in contact with his teammates about the prospect maybe of one day playing in a semi-final with Wembley at stake?
Yeah, you've got the general things. Social media is brilliant now with the WhatsApp groups. So there's various WhatsApp groups. Obviously, I'm in contact with all the players on a sort of daily basis. They've all been given position-specific training schedules to work on. They have to do their own things as well. So we're doing as much as we possibly can, obviously within the guidelines that we're allowed to do at the moment. What's important now is just trying to pick them up a little bit and hope that they believe in that game taking place, because the last thing I can afford them to do is take their foot off the gas and sort of relax a little bit. And then when we do get there, we let ourselves down, because it's been a fantastic season up till now, and we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the fans that we've managed to bring back to the club in their droves, who have been brilliant for us. So we owe it to them. So it's important to try and get them to tick over, and hopefully the game gets to go ahead and we're ready for it.
Well, thank you for making the time for joining us on BBC WM this afternoon. I hope you get your shot at Wembley. I really, really do. I think we're all missing our daily or weekly injection of football on a Saturday afternoon, but at least if you can get that shot at Wembley, that's at least something that you can round the season off with.
Yeah, completely. And like I say, I think I'll say from myself and all the Yeltz fans, we're all desperate to hopefully finish off that way, and that's the way we'll be having everything crossed that happens, but we'll have to wait and see.
Paul, thank you once again for joining us this afternoon.
No problem at all. Take care.
Crunch time. All leagues below step 3 expulsed. Ridiculous. If that isn't a clear sign that the FA just don't care for anything below the Championship, because those are their cash cows of them earning their money, then I don't know what is. The Football Association is supposed to stand for fairness for the whole of football, but they have just gone out and proved a point that they actually don't care, because we don't make money for the FA, but we must abide by their rules. I don't know what planet these people live on anymore. I really don't. It does make you think that maybe all the non-league clubs within the pyramid should stick two fingers up to the FA and Wembley and say, we're not going to be part of you anymore. You don't want us to be part of your association, so why should we abide by your rules and regulations? Because that's another thing we've got to look at then. If the league's declared null and void, nobody gets promoted, nobody gets relegated, instead of the fairer way of turning around and saying we're going to do a points per game ratio and then work out the top two go up and the bottom two go down. It's just mind-blowing. It really is mind-blowing. They're just so out of touch, and as I say, they really don't care, and that is the sad thing about it. The Yeltz army. Halesowen's 12th man. Perfect. How can you ignore passionate support like this? You just simply can't.